Here is the News Gang. So, we have a guest who's joining us tonight, Professor Alfred Omenya, who is an architect, former dean at the Technical University of Kenya. And we'll be speaking with him in just a moment. But like we promised you, this is an international edition of the News Gang. We are live here from Nairobi and New York City. Jamila Mohammed, or Jamjam as we like to call her here, is joining me live now from New York, where she's attending the United Nations General Assembly. Jamjam, it's good to see you. So let's talk about something that you've been reporting and you can bring us up to date on, and that is that meeting between President Farmajo and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Is it some possible deadlock? We're also hearing that, again, the talks are off and now it's back to the court.
Yes, that's true, Yvonne. As of yesterday, there was a meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Farmajo at the fringes of the meeting. It was a meeting mediated by the chair of the AU, President Al-Sisi of Egypt, and it was a meeting on Tuesday night. It was actually kept secret. We didn't know about it until after it was over. And then afterwards, we were informed that there had been a meeting. This is the first time the two leaders have met since March because of this boundaries delimitation issue. And remember, in March when they met, it was with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And at the time, there was no agreement. And they haven't met since then. Now, there was a lot of hope that after the meeting here in New York, that there may be some step taken towards sorting out this issue. And yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta, when addressing the assembly, said that for Kenya, the way to go is through dialogue. They would prefer an out-of-court agreement. And he spoke to us exclusively after his address, and he said for Kenya, that is what they are going for. And after the meeting with Somalia, they hope that it will be the first step towards normalizing relations between these two countries. Remember, we have so much history, we share a boundary, and there's a lot that Kenya and Somalia have in common. But then, following what the president said yesterday, we thought, yeah, maybe there's a step in the right direction towards normalizing the relations. But a short while back, I think less than an hour ago, President Farmajo addressed the UN General Assembly and said for them, the International Court of Justice is the way to go. Somalia says there's no way out of this situation until they go to court. And remember, they have a court date in early November where this issue will be discussed. And Somalia says they are bound by the decision of the court, and Kenya also will be bound by the decision of the same court. So to them, there's nothing like an out-of-court agreement. They are going on to court.
Jamila, Alina's here, and what was the content of the meeting with Al-Sisi? Because it looked like they had a successful discussion. At least we were given that impression. There is a picture of Al-Sisi holding hands of both President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Farmajo of Somalia. What is that about?
Yes, there was that meeting, Alina. It was on Tuesday evening. In fact, there were three. There was the president of Djibouti, there was Farmajo, there was President Al-Sisi, and there was President Uhuru Kenyatta. And remember, Al-Sisi is the chair of the AU. And Kenya had gone to the AU requesting that this issue be settled out of court. And it was on those auspices that the meeting was held. And at the time, sources within the meeting were telling us that President Farmajo was actually not willing to attend that meeting. In fact, President Al-Sisi met him separately first, and then met President Uhuru separately before the three of them had a meeting. And something that President Farmajo said today at the UN General Assembly, it would be important because he says on 3rd of September this year, the Peace and Security Council of the UN said that the AU is not empowered to intervene in this issue beyond what is before the court. So according to them, AU cannot interfere in this issue. And that meeting with President Al-Sisi was well and good because, of course, they want to have this good relation with Kenya and the brotherhood and what they have in common. Remember that the fact that they have had this crisis has even affected issues of visas at entry points, has affected direct flights, and they want to sort of like have relations sort of like cool down a bit. But that meeting apparently did not really make any difference to Somalia because they say the AU does not have jurisdiction to listen to this matter and conclude it.
So, Jamila, you had a chance to talk to President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday, and did you manage to get from him his side of the story on this dispute with Somalia?
No, for him, he said again and again that for them, they want a dialogue, they want an out-of-court agreement. And he was saying, as neighbors, we should not be arguing over these things. There are bigger matters. We have security, we have the Al-Shabaab threat, and those are the things which we should be working towards, not about the boundary maritime dispute. And for him, he was really convinced that this is the way to go. And I remember I asked him, Mr. President, is the legal way still an option? And he did not rule it out completely. And I think for Kenya, it is still in the back of their minds that this is not going to go their way. That is an out-of-court settlement. This thing is going to go ahead to the courts. And I think it's just wait and see what happens in November when we go before the ICJ, whether or not really that it will go the Kenya's way or Somalia. But as it stands, it seems we are at an impasse. Kenya is still insisting on an out-of-court settlement, on dialogue. And Somalia, President Farmajo speaking a few hours after Uhuru Kenyatta spoke at the same main plenary of the General Assembly, giving a different version of a meeting. And then Farmajo comes and says, no, we met, yes, we have good relations. It was a bilateral meeting, but he insisted that bilaterals have not worked in the past since 2014, and it doesn't seem to be working right now. So I think we're at a point where it's just a wait and see game.
Do we get a sense that maybe Kenya is not comfortable with the ICJ process?
Yes, I really get that sense, Linus. In fact, we asked the president, I think, 3 times on this same issue, and he kept going back again to, we are open to anything. I remember his soundbite was, we are open to everything, but we prefer the dialogue way. I think the legal option for Kenya is the last option. They are not for it. They don't hope for it, but it seems as it goes, things are going, that may be the way that they'll have to go. Somalia has insisted that they're going to the ICJ, and they said that Kenya will be bound by the decision of the ICJ, the same way Somalia will be bound by the decision of that international court.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Very fine reporting from New York City, Jamila.